Now, first, one announcement, if anyone cares. The crowded field of Democratic radical socialists just shrunk by one, Governor Jay Inslee. He dropped out of the race. Did anybody even know he was in the race? Joining us now, former RNC chairman, former White House chief of staff, Reince Preibus, and Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. Let's go through a little bit of sleepy, creepy, crazy. Let's see. His own wife, Tammy, if we look at it, that wasn't very encouraging. You're going to have to swallow hard. Not good. His brain surgeon says, no, his brain's okay. Can't go to a 7-Eleven or Dunkin' Donuts without a slight Indian accent. Bragging his state was a slave state. That's just, and then my favorite, this is the first time ever you got an African-American that is bright, articulate, and clean at Storybook. Or poor kids are just as talented as white kids. And Joe 30330. I think that's my favorite, too.
Yeah. But here's the thing that also I think Americans should be concerned about, and Democrats should be appalled by, that he's actually in this position. It is clear he should not be. And yet the Democratic Party is so destroyed, and Barack Obama destroyed it in his cultivation of a cult, that they're pushing this man to do it, because they do believe that he would have more of an appeal than all the rest of their talent. So there's a point where it's becoming embarrassing for this man to be in this position. His wife clearly wants to support him. She obviously is also worried about the party, but they can't even push through it on their own. And I think that tells you everything you need to know. But then also the Democrats themselves, it also highlights the contempt they have for the American people and for their own base, that there's no real interest in being there for everyone in the country. They lie about who's a racist. They want to divide and conquer. They're proposing things. Bernie Sanders the other day admitted, when he was asked at a town hall how much the Medicare for All would cost, he said, I don't have that in my pocket. Nobody does. We really don't know. They have no idea, and yet they're putting themselves in this position because they believe their own base is ignorant. They believe the American people are dumb, and this is what they have to offer the American people. I hope the Republicans understand this, because the Democrats are really turning into a major problem for the American people.
And then my favorite, Reince, is his comment, truth over facts. But he's got 8 years of a record. 8 years of economic policy failure, the Iranian deal, 8 years of foreign policy failure. Nobody's even begun to talk about that part.
Well, and the other problem that they have, if you're the campaign manager for Joe Biden, you've got to worry that these gaffes aren't just a pattern. A lot of people are saying, it's a pattern of problem. No, the question is, if this pattern becomes an issue of mental competence, that is the issue that's going to bring down Biden. Now, here's the other piece, and I agree with...
Hasn't that already happened? Isn't that happening?
Yeah, and I think it is happening. And the media, I think the media and some of the folks in the media that want a more progressive candidate, they want an Elizabeth Warren, they want a Kamala Harris. They're going to swarm over this issue that's plaguing Joe Biden like we can't imagine. Here's the other problem for the Democrats, though. President Trump has outmaneuvered the Democrats on one of their signature issues, which is sentencing reform. Elizabeth Warren's talking about sentencing reform. The only problem they have is that the person they actually have to run against actually did it, and did it more favorably than any president in modern history. So they've got a huge problem right now, not to mention the fact that Newt Gingrich wrote a book called Real Change many years ago, and the whole premise is that you need to frame these issues in such a way that 70% of the American people agree with you on. Who doesn't agree with moving the capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem? Every president's promised it. Trump delivered it. Who didn't believe that the Iran deal was bad? Maybe 30% liked it, but 70% agreed with Trump.
Question.
This is what they're facing.
Who gets the nomination as of tonight, Tammy?
Well, I tell you, it won't be Joe Biden. When it comes to who the establishment thinks, I think they believe Kamala Harris is going to have it. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Who do you think, Reince?
I think Biden will squeak through, but I would look out for Elizabeth Warren.
I'm leaning a slight advantage Elizabeth as of tonight. Thank you both.